Now, let's talk about Zimbabwe, because after dominating Zimbabwean politics for nearly 4 decades, President Mugabe finally stepped down, and the country is scheduled to have elections later this year. One man who's campaigned for change for many, many years is with me, I'm very pleased to say, in the studio. Evan Mawarire, who founded the This Flag movement, hashtag This Flag, I should say, to give it its proper title, demanding the end of corruption and economic mismanagement. And I'll talk to him in just a moment, but first let's just remind ourselves of some of the key things that have happened in Zimbabwe in the last little while. Robert Mugabe led the country, of course, for 37 years, first as Prime Minister and then as President from 1987. In November last year, the army took control, although you might remember they denied it was a coup. Well, a week later, Robert Mugabe's deputy, Emmerson Mnangagwa, called on Mugabe to stand down. And a few days later, Mnangagwa was sworn in as Zimbabwe's president. Earlier this month, the opposition leader Morgan Tsvangirai died after dealing with cancer for many years. He, of course, had played a crucial part in paving the way for the overthrow of Robert Mugabe. Now, the new president, Mnangagwa, has promised that free and fair elections will be held by this August. So let's talk to Evan Mawarire, who is with me. Very good of you to come and talk to us here.
Thank you for having me.
BBC News. And at the end there, when I said that the new leader has promised free and fair elections, I think I saw you shake your head a little. Is that instant scepticism on your part that they will be fair?
Absolutely. I think that the history that ZANU-PF has had under the leadership of Robert Mugabe, and propped up by the very people who are now running the country, has shown us that they do not respect elections. In fact, in 2008, the late Morgan Tsvangirai was denied the opportunity to lead Zimbabwe when he had clearly won the election. So there is a lot that remains to be said about how free and fair these elections would be. You must forgive us as Zimbabweans for being skeptical, because it is what we have experienced for over 38 years now.
But is there more that Mnangagwa could now do in the next few months to instill some confidence, to suggest to the people, to suggest to skeptics like yourself, opposition leaders, that actually he would like to change? He would like Zimbabwe to rid itself of the corruption, to help people who are suffering so badly economically, as we know?
Oh, yes, over and above what he has said in his speeches, and I think as a citizen and as an activist, all I have heard are his speeches. There's a lot much more that he can do. For example, some of the repressive laws that were put in under Robert Mugabe are still in place. And as the president, it wouldn't take much for his administration to repeal things like the Public Order and Security Act, which prohibits people from freedom of expression and the freedom to assembly. The criminal code, under which I was arrested numerous times, that needs to be changed and aligns to the constitution that Zimbabwe has. And I think that's low-hanging fruit to put confidence into the citizens. And
you yourself spent more than a year in prison?
Absolutely. I spent a year in and out of prison, over 32 court appearances, and one of those arrests was actually at the airport on February 1st, 2017, when I'd come back into Zimbabwe after being outside and leaving my family in safety.
Tell us about the importance of the flag, the hashtag that I mentioned. What is its purpose? How is it galvanizing people?
This flag citizens movement is something that we started quite literally by accident. But it was a moment in which the citizens of Zimbabwe decided that the flag of Zimbabwe, which has a meaning, by the way, everything on it means something. It's a promise to Zimbabweans. It promises us a good economy based on our agriculture. It promises us prosperity based on our minerals. It promises a free nation based on the blood that was shed. It promises a free nation for the majority black people. And all those things have been compromised. And so this flag movement was about reclaiming in the citizens of the hands our own destiny, because Robert Mugabe had systematically taken that away from us. The thing he had done was to intimidate citizens from speaking out. Our underlying catchphrase that expresses what this flag movement does is, if we cannot cause the politician to change, then we must inspire the citizen to be bold.
And when I mentioned Morgan Tsvangirai, who died recently, you nodded in recognition. Who now leads the opposition movement, if I can put it that way? Who brings people together to continue what he did for such a long time?
I think Morgan Tsvangirai, first and foremost, is an incredible figure on the landscape of Zimbabwean politics, and he leaves a huge void and huge shoes to fill in terms of the kind of man that he was and the unprecedented courage that he represented. But when I watch and look at the MDC, I do see that he has raised a lot of people that are powerful. And of course, in the last couple of days, we've seen that the young Nelson Chamisa has stood up and has wanted to fill those shoes. Of course, it must be done constitutionally, but I think as a young person, he has the popular vote, and it's my hope that the MDC will allow the ascendancy of Nelson Chamisa to rejuvenate the citizenry behind a new democratic movement.
Evan Mawarire, there is so much more we could discuss, but it's very good to meet you, and we will be talking again, I'm quite sure. Thank you very much indeed. Thanks for being with us on the BBC.